Divorce after 50 can feel like a whole life changed overnight. There's the paperwork and the financial decisions, but there's also something people don't talk about very much. There's grief, there's stress, and sometimes there's even physical pain from carrying all of it. A lot of people going through divorce feel it in their body before they even realize what's happening emotionally. Today, we're going to talk about healing, not just emotionally, but physically, and how building your confidence can eventually open the door to love again. I'm really excited about today's conversation because my guest helps people do exactly that. My guest today is Kathleen Yorke, owner of Better Back and Beyond here in Lexington. Kathleen has more than 30 years of experience helping people release pain and tension through massage therapy and body work. But what I love about Kathleen's work is that it goes beyond muscles and joints. She really focuses on helping people reset physically, emotionally, and even spiritually so they can feel present again instead of stuck in stress. And Kathleen also has her own story of stepping back into the dating world later in life and actually finding love. So Kathleen, I'm really glad you're here.
I'm really glad to be here. This is such a great opportunity. Thank you, Sherry, for having me.
You're very welcome. One thing I think people don't always realize is how much divorce actually impacts the body. I've heard so many people say that during their divorce, they suddenly had neck pain, back pain, and headaches, things like that. From what you see in your practice, how does emotional stress actually show up physically in somebody's body?
That's the $24 question. I mean, because it shows up all kinds of ways. Like, because if you're starting to eat a lot, it could show up in putting on weight, and then you have knee problems or ankle problems, or so stress can impact, it's individual to each person. But the key is learning how to reset and the nervous system, and massage is one of the best ways because the cortisol that gets released from the adrenal glands when you're in stress puts all of this cortisol into the bloodstream, insulin into the bloodstream. It wreaks havoc on your digestive system, on your hormones, and you feel like a mess because you are. And so a lot of times you need counseling. You need someone to talk to. You need physical counseling. You need to go to somebody and have a therapeutic touch, somebody that's touching you therapeutically and correcting the areas that are hurting, but also getting your nervous system to down regulate. And that's the key. And then when you leave, you're present and you feel brand new. I mean, it really works. It really works.
That's really interesting because I think a lot of people assume it's just a coincidence. But when someone is going through a major life transition like divorce, why do you think those areas like the back, neck, and shoulders are the places where people tend to feel it most? That's kind of a repeat question, but I know that for myself, I start feeling things in my shoulders, my neck, just really tensing up. And, I can even feel myself hunching over and just tensing. And I know when I come in for massages, before you're done, I'm like so relaxed and it just goes away. So it's just, I think
But
it's
everybody carries their stress differently. Yeah. I have one person that only wants me to rub sounds funny, but their appendages, I mean, their arms and their legs, that's where they carry their stress. Yeah. They don't care. This person's neck and their CPA, like even during major tax time, is totally fine in their neck and shoulders, but their legs and arms and hands are terrible. And that's where they carry their stress. So everybody carries their stress in different areas usually.
I think that's true. Yeah. And so when someone actually begins to heal their body, do you see that starts to shift things emotionally for them too?
Oh yeah. I mean, always, because a lot of times they feel like that's their new normal. They don't think that they can recover or it's going to be a long time. So when all of a sudden in 60 minutes or 90 minutes, they walk out and they feel completely brand new and maybe even like they used to prior to carrying all this burden, because there's fears, there's financial fears and like you said, grief. I mean, it's intense. And yeah, it's not easy to go through a divorce. It's a lot of people say they would rather lose their husband from death than from a divorce.
Yeah. You and I both have had that experience, so
Yeah.
we know how it feels. Another thing that divorce after 50 can really shake is your confidence. Sometimes people spend years taking care of everyone else and, their uh, children, their husband, their parents, elderly parents, sometimes their in laws. And during a divorce, they suddenly realize they've stopped taking care of themselves. When someone starts focusing on self care again, even something as simple as taking care of their physical health, what does that do for their confidence?
It just skyrockets. It's a huge shift. That shift, there's somebody has a saying that says, where the focus goes, the energy flows. So, when all of a sudden your focus starts taking care of yourself, this attitude of beating up on yourself or thinking what you did wrong or how could you have done this or forgiveness issues or focusing on the other person and the resentment and all the years you gave up and having regrets and all kinds of things. It's just not helpful. I mean, the stories we tell ourselves, most of them are not true. And even if they are true, it's better to just drop all those stories that are victimization stories that they're not helpful. They don't help you heal. So when all of a sudden you start to work out again, you start to take care of yourself, and even when you miss one day, you think, oh, well, I can miss another day. And it's like, the more consistent you are with self-care, whether it's just going for a walk, coming in for a massage, whatever it might be, eating differently, drinking differently, whatever it might be, as hard as it might seem, it's actually harder not to do it. And that's what you learn because you start to feel so good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love that because feeling physically better often leads to feeling emotionally stronger and more confident. For someone listening who might feel like they've neglected themselves during the divorce process, what's one small step that they could take to start feeling like themselves again?
Well, the big thing is always breathing. And I hate to say it, people just go,
Sounds so simple, doesn't it?
else. Yeah. But actually, that's a huge shift in energy. So, where the focus goes, the energy flows. And just starting to breathe and opening up.
It's also like you become aware that you actually breathe because you don't even think about it normally.
It activates a lot of endorphins and oxytocin and all kinds of serotonin and different hormones that relax you. It's amazing because what happens when we're stressed and tense, we get very shallow in the breath and we don't drop into our diaphragm at all. And that becomes very stressful breathing.
So I'm wanting to breathe deeper now, right now, because I'm thinking about it.
I know, it's good. It's good. It really helps. It's such something so little and it really makes a huge difference. In fact, they used to say, and sometimes if I get depressed or I'm down or whatever, if I even run in place for like 30 seconds, that level of energy that you invest in just breathing heavy and running as fast as you can for 30 seconds, it so shifts the brain. It's amazing. 30 seconds of oxygen to the brain shifts your entire outlook. So it's a little things make a huge difference. Really, they do.
I like that. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people are nervous about after divorce. And I guess you know what that is, dating.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely.
I think dating after 50 is completely different than dating when you were younger, of course. You actually stepped into the online dating world yourself later in life. So I'm really curious to hear about your experience. What was it like when you first started exploring online dating?
Well, I went through two different paths. The first time I did it, and then I hated it and signed off on all of it. And then I did it the second time and had amazing results. So the first time I did it, I've met a lot of men, and some of them were very suggestive sexually in their responses and all of that. And I just didn't like that. I mean, it was like, what? You don't even know me. It's like, hello. And I got a lot of attention that way, and it just didn't feel good. And I went, this is terrible. And I just stopped it. I just got off of everything. And I had a lot of clients and friends that were having incredible success. They were finding their husbands and mates and stuff. And I did not want to go through life alone. I didn't want to be 70 years old and looking across the kitchen table eating dinner alone. I wanted to have somebody to cook dinner with, be there at the end of the day, on and on.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have different reasons. I mean, they have different motivations, and men and women, of course, probably have different motivations as well. But just to even try was brave. And I'm sure, that if there was a lot of learning experience that you went through there. And I guess it wasn't all bad, but I know that you have a good ending, or, the story does end happily. And I want you to talk about that too. But were you really skeptical about it when you first started?
Well, the second time I did it, that's where the shift took place. I think it was Wayne Dyer that said, write a list of all the attributes you want and the person you're looking for. And then the twist was, and now you become that. You be what you're looking for. Because it's like you put it all out there and you project that onto the other person. So it was interesting after I did that and I wrote the list of what I was looking for, and I was really honest. It was exactly what I wanted. The interesting thing was is I meditated on this list for a year and on myself for a year. And then it was like one morning I was like, I'm ready to get out there again. And I got on 2 sites.
Do you remember what those were?
One was Silver Singles. I think it was even free. I don't even think they charged anything. And then another one was, it was a popular one. If you said it, I would know. But it was a little bit more expensive. Was it? Well, anything's more expensive than free, but it was actually an expensive one, is what I'm trying to say. And they kept re-upping. Like and that's what you have to be careful because once they have your credit card, And it took me kind of a lot to get off. But anyway, you have like a radius of how you search for people, like 100-mile radius, whatever. And I just was like, no, 50 miles. I just was going to just be, no, this is going to be easy or not. Well, there was only one person that showed up, and he was in Lexington, and he looked okay in this picture. And I read his profile, and he seemed a little needy. So, but I thought to myself,
Sounds like he was being honest too.
yeah, well, that's who I ended up marrying. And anyway, and I thought, I can meet anyone for a cup of coffee. 10, 15 minutes, that doesn't matter. So I just had this really lackadaisical, relaxed attitude toward it. And we communicated and we decided to meet at Starbucks for a cup of coffee. He was a total gentleman. He was waiting outside for me. When I pulled up and I saw him waiting outside for me, I was like, that's different. I wasn't expecting that. Well, he was a French Canadian. And I thought 10, 15 minutes, 3 hours later, we were still talking. I wanted him to come to Henry Clay's home with me to a jazz concert that night. He was babysitting his grandchildren. He had moved from Canada to California and had just moved that week that I had put my profile up. He had just put his from California. So it was like, if you're supposed to meet somebody and you're meditating on it and you put those vibes out there to the universe, it's like, and then when I got the hit to get online, it's like, there that person was.
Yeah.
And we started dating and we went through some highs and lows and, whatever, almost broke up, but
Well,
we didn't. And we ended up getting married last September. And I adore him. He's wonderful.
I love that. That makes me happy.
Thank you.
I've heard people say that online dating later in life can be a bit of a shock. What surprised you the most when you started dating him?
Just that people would have sexual comments over a picture online and they wouldn't even know you. You wouldn't even hardly even have a conversation. I just thought that was so rude, really. Yeah. I just was not attracted to that at all.
Yeah. I don't think most women aren't, but the ones that get me are the shirtless, picture in the mirror. It's just.
Well, that too. And the other one was, I was like, where are we finding these people that are covered in tattoos with beards down to their chest? And it's almost like a pitchfork over in front of their truck with their big rifle. I'm like going, who are these people? And
I have to say there are some women that are attracted to that.
yeah, and I don't mean to put that down, but I mean,
It's just not yours.
I want someone to be a little bit more groomed.
So you were intentional about choosing the site that you went on. I know when I went on a couple of sites, but I was looking for people that had similar interests and values that I have. And I never did go on any of like the Match.com or anything like that because I had too many friends that had stories.
That's what it was. It was
And
.com.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I just can't do that. But the ones that I went on were people that, I thought they would be people that would have the same lifestyle I had and interests that I had. And I did end up meeting my current partner of 13 years on farmersonly.com. And there's an interesting story there too, but I'll say that for another time. But the only other one I went to was horsecity.com. And neither one of those are sites that a lot of people would go on because that's not their interest. The funny thing is he never he never rode a horse and he's scared of horses. And but he was a farmer. And so the farmersonly.com was where he became aware of me, but we didn't actually meet because of that site. We didn't go out on a date or anything like that. We just ran into each other. So it was karma. And so we have been with each other since. So yeah, there is happy endings, ladies, and gents.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there is.
Really are.
They're not all.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
It's just, I think it's your motive and the time. It's also when it's right for you emotionally, because I know when you first start down that path, you're looking for emotional need more than anything.
Yeah.
And that can really cloud your judgment, and you can make bad decisions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like we said, there is happy endings, and you've told us about how you met your husband. And I guess, you've already kind of explained what that relationship was different from other people you had met. Did you go on any other dates?
Actually, no. After I was open to dating other people, but we so hit it off. I mean, there was such an emotional connection and intellectual connect and spiritual on every level. We so connected that we just enjoyed getting to know each other. So we really just started dating when no point. Yeah.
So I want to speak for a moment to the person who might be listening today and feels like divorce has completely knocked the wind out of you. Maybe they feel like their life is falling apart and they can't imagine feeling hopeful again. What would you say to someone over 50 who believes they'll never find love again?
Well, what you focus on is where the energy will go, but you have to heal first. So that's the first thing. And I think the more attention and love that you give to yourself, that's just going to happen naturally. Your confidence is going to come back. You're going to want to start to share your life with somebody.
Yeah.
And, we've got friends that come over and we fill out, we do like a profile night and we fill out their profile with them, because actually Mark, my husband, he saved all the answers from women that he thought were really good. So, we fill it all in. If the person likes it, we laugh, we have a great time.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. So, don't do it alone. Like, go and have some girl buddies and meet out in the bar or whatever, and then sit down and do your profile and enjoy the whole process, really.
That would take the stress out of it for sure.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the version of yourself that once felt that way?
Oh, gosh.
Now that it's in the past.
Oh my God, she just needed so much TLC. I mean, all I can do is just saying, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And I just give myself a huge hug. I mean, because when I was going through it, it was so devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the worst time of my life.
Yeah. To actually think about even being in another relationship, that's not even the time to really go there. But just know there'll come a time where you will feel ready to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So how can, if someone wanted to contact you or book an appointment for a massage, how would they do that?
Well, they can call my number, 859-420-8072. So, and I'm always there to talk to you about your issues. If 10 to 15 minutes, we can talk and see if I would be a good fit. And then we'll get you on the schedule. Or you can just go to my website at betterbackandbeyond.com, not Bed Bath and Beyond, but betterbackandbeyond.com. And you can just book your own appointment on the schedule if you want to.
Yeah, that's great. That makes it easy. Divorce after 50 can feel like the end of a chapter, but sometimes it becomes the beginning of healing, growth, and even love again. Taking care of your body, rebuilding your confidence, and staying open to new possibilities can change everything. And sometimes the life you build after divorce becomes the best chapter yet. Kathleen, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your story today.
This was a lot of fun, man. Let's do it again.
Well, I do want to say that I plan on doing kind of a series about dating and after divorce, and I'm looking for any kind of ideas or whatever. And so, if you have any, give them to me, and we'll do some more on this topic.
In fact, I think Mark, we could have him here.
That would be fun because we rarely get the male perspective. That would be fun.
We could fill out pretend profiles and stuff. I mean, we could just be laughing and having a great time.
Well, we will have to plan that. So thanks for listening to Divorce After 50.